Well, good morning and welcome to Coffee Chat with David and Kylie Knight.
Yes, thank you for joining us today. Yes, today is Tuesday, April the 28th,
Yeah,
2020.
yeah. The days actually do go by.
They do.
It's hard to believe that
Yeah,
sometimes but yeah, they seem to actually happen.
right.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. And I see Clark Aldridge is joining us. Good to see you, my friend. Welcome, welcome. Hey, be
Hi.
sure to use the hashtag Hello Nights and hashtag Cup of Awesome.
That's right. That's what we do around here. And if you want to be notified of when we go live, be sure to click the little bell thing and click all notifications.
Yes, yes, indeed. And also be sure to let us know where you're watching from and what you're drinking this morning.
Yeah.
You know us, we've got our coffee ready.
You know us. That's right. That's what we
Coffee numero
do.
dos, right?
That's right. Cheers.
Cheers.
To
Good to
that.
see you. Good to see you. Welcome,
Coffee,
welcome.
coffee.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's been 24 hours. Well, I guess it's been
Don't
23
well,
hours and 30 minutes, something like
yeah.
that.
Thanks, David.
Hey, you're welcome. That's why I'm
Yeah.
here. It's what I do.
Yes.
Um, exactly, Clark. Hashtag Hello Nights.
Yes.
Love it,
Thank
love it, love it.
you.
Yeah, we have been crazy busy in the
Oh, Clark's drinking Chick-fil-A tea.
ooh, that sounds like a
Nice.
good way to start the morning.
Hi, Don. Hey,
Don, good.
thanks
Oh,
for joining us.
sorry.
Yeah,
I
just
didn't.
cut me off.
Just.
Yeah, David show. I'll leave. Okay.
Well, let's be honest. We've been talking over each other for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
With everything going on, um, we are. We do, in theory, have a guest today. Um,
Go ahead.
oh, just they were having some issues getting online, so we're waiting for them to make an appearance. Hopefully, they will be here, and yeah, we'll have some fun with them. But in the meantime, you guys get us.
Yeah.
So more of us is always fun.
Right. I haven't heard from us much lately, have they?
No, and we've been kind of talking and teasing about some of the stuff we've got going on,
Yeah.
and it has been crazy in the night household, the night studios, as we've been calling
Nice
them lately.
studios. Yep.
Um,
Mhm.
we have a lot of projects that are getting ready to be released. As you guys know, we do the virtual magic show,
Yes.
which we sent out an email last week to some of our contact list,
Mm-hmm.
and
Got a crazy response from
yeah,
it.
it was amazing.
Wow.
It was amazing. We were very pleased about that, and a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people are taking us up on the offer of having us do a show virtually for their church.
Mm-hmm.
Just got an email this morning from an apartment community that wants us to come do something for them.
Fantastic.
Live Q and
So
A.
excited.
Uh,
Yeah.
I see our guest has made it on.
Yeah.
Hey, just as an FYI, we don't have you on yet, but we will have you on in just a moment. Perfect. We hope everything works here.
Cool.
It's all good. It's
Yeah.
all good. We're getting him talking to us. You guys can't hear him. Hopefully, you can't hear him because otherwise, my whole system is messed up. If you can, you'll get to hear him soon. But yeah, so we've been working on that, and we've got another project that should launch shortly. Fingers crossed
To the public.
to the public. Yeah,
Yeah. It is officially launched.
yeah,
It's
it has
just not
launched.
to the public.
Right,
So, yeah.
right. So
All kinds of craziness going on,
yeah,
right?
yeah. I see Jeff. Hello. He sent a little. I don't know why it's not showing up on that one, but he
Oh,
sent a
did he?
little Mr.
Oh.
Bean. Little Mr. Bean. It's always fun.
Hello.
Hello. Uh, all right. Well,
Well, do we want to introduce our
yeah.
guest
Let's bring our
today?
guest on. This guy, you guys are going to absolutely love him. We've had the chance to work with him a little bit in the past. Had the chance to get to know him on Facebook and through
Yeah.
some other mediums. But he's just a fantastic guy. You're going to love his story, and his heart for Christ really is what shines through and everything. So would you guys please join me in welcoming
Talented.
the talented Stephen Miller?
Woo!
Oh, I got to fix your video over here. Hey, Stephen, how are you?
Hey guys, how you doing?
Perfect. Good to
Hey.
have you coming through. You're getting cut off. Hang on, let me fix you over here for
It
just a.
looks so nice where
It
you're
does
at.
look
You're
nice where you are.
outside, enjoying the beautiful weather.
Yeah, it's a little cloudy this morning, but I'm under a canopy in case it starts sprinkling or whatever, which is great. But the back porch has sort of been my haven this past 2 months of not being able to leave, because it feels amazing. In the mornings especially, I've
Yeah.
been able to come out here and just read the word and like spend some time in prayer, and it's just been sort of like a reset on my humanity a little bit. You know what I mean?
Oh,
That was me.
David muted
I
you.
muted you accidentally. Hang on.
That's okay.
That was unintentional. Okay. You should be back now. Oh, because
So,
I'm not hearing you
what
drink.
area are you in?
I live in San Antonio.
Uh-oh. No, we
Uh-oh.
can't hear you.
Oh,
Pause
they
on
can
that
hear
thought.
you. We can't hear you. Hang on. Siri, go away. Let's try this again. Oh, no.
What did you do, David?
All right. Can we hear
I
you
don't think we
now?
can.
Check, check. Talk to
Yeah.
us. Oh,
Hey.
we can't hear you. They can hear you.
Oh.
Ah!
Okay.
It's not you. It's totally me. Hang on.
Not
We're
from my
gonna
end?
switch
Okay.
switch gears. So hang on just a second.
Sorry about that.
And we're gonna do this. It's what happens when I touch the wrong button.
There.
Okay, we can hear you now. Yes.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yes.
So where are, and then I put that away. Come back. Where are you calling from today?
Nice. We love San Antonio. Yeah.
Oh, they can't hear me.
You good?
Yeah,
think
we're
so.
good. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, that's one of the fun things. You know, you mentioned you were having issues with computer. We had issues with computer.
Yeah.
Hey,
Yeah.
these things happen. You're calling from San Antonio. You're on your back porch. You're loving your day.
Yeah. It's awesome. Loving
Beautiful, beautiful.
Good.
So let's jump into our interview with you.
it.
First of all, tell us, how did you come to Christ? What is your story?
Yeah, I grew up when I was a baby. My dad was a pastor. He's an atheist now, but
Wow.
he, that was kind of my mom and dad were very involved in the church. My dad stopped going probably around the time I was 2.
Wow.
But my mom made sure that I was there essentially anytime the doors were open, so it was, Sunday morning, Sunday school and church, Sunday night church, Wednesday night supper and church, Friday night lock-ins. I was in the puppet ministry, mission trips, the whole deal. And so when I was 8, at a vacation Bible school, I actually, my brother had gone forward to receive Christ, and I wanted to be like my brother at that age, and so I was like, I'm going to do that. So I went forward and prayed to receive Christ at 8, and the next week got baptized, and I was so small they had to put down these little cinder blocks for me, and one of the cinder blocks kind of gave way, and I ended up like baptizing myself essentially, and so that was awesome. But it wasn't really until my sophomore year in high school that I would say my faith really became my own. I mean, I went to camp every year. I went to all the Disciple Nows and fall retreats and spring retreats and all that, and RA camp and everything, and really rededicated my life like every year from the time I was 8 all the way till the time I was 15 or 16.
Yeah.
And when my dad left, my freshman year, I really was put into sort of a crisis of faith where I didn't really know who I was. I felt pretty alone and just needing the Lord. And my youth pastor, we moved to Austin, Texas. My youth pastor really stepped into that kind of father role in my life. And there was one Sunday right after church, my friend from church gave me, you remember the band Jars of Clay?
Yeah.
Their first album, there's a song called Worlds Apart on there.
Yeah.
And he gave me that album at church that morning, and I went home and I was listening to it. And that song came on, and I was just in this shabby little bedroom of our duplex that we were living in at the time, and like God met me in my bedroom. And the line, "Did you really have to die for me? All I am for all you are." Just hit me, It's like I knew that, like I'd heard that a billion times, but the Lord chose in that moment to like really apply that truth to my heart, and I fell down on my face, just bawling my eyes out in my bedroom, and said, God, whatever you want, I'm yours. And it seems fairly fitting that God chose to rescue me through music, because that's what he was calling me to. So I was, that was that. I mean, I've had seasons since, just like everyone does, of dryness and desert and backsliding and messing up. But that would be the moment that I would say that I really truly said, God, I'm yours, and you're mine. You're my Lord. You're not just my functional savior that I can call on when I really need you, but you're actually my King. You're my Lord.
Wow.
So
it's awesome. So good. So, as a worship leader, you have an interesting task of balancing music that is not only theologically sound, but is also great art. What is your approach, and who are your inspirations?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few. I have some real, I guess, benchmarks that I try to hold to, pillars of my worship philosophy. Number one, we're all artists. We're all created in the image of the great artist, right? So from the moment, God spoke all this into being and breathed it out, he was having fun, and he didn't make ugly stuff. I sit out on the back porch, and the wind right now is blowing on my arm hair, and I'm getting goosebumps because it feels so good. And there's birds chirping in the trees. I don't know if you can hear them.
Can hear a little bit.
It's glorious. There's just a slight break in the clouds above me, where I can see the blue sky. And tonight, Lord willing, the sky will be ablaze with glorious hues. He had a lot of fun in creating, and he didn't make anything bad. And so I think that's a call for us as artists, to not make bad art. And unfortunately, the dollar bill has sort of replaced that in some ways, but also dumbing things down to the lowest common denominator has also sort of hindered creativity a little bit, I think, as well. Everyone wants to write for radio, not for their congregation. I'll be interested to see how this whole pandemic thing affects all that, honestly, because we've moved to home for this season, and it's a much more intimate thing to worship with your family in your living room. But that said, I think there are some things that you can, the questions that you have to ask yourself whenever you're writing worship music. Is it true?
Right.
I think a lot of people don't stop to ask that question. Is it true based on God's word, not just my emotions and my experience? Obviously, my experience and my emotions are valid, but how does it weigh against the word of God? So what does God say about himself, and does this line up with that? Number two, is it helpful? I might be singing something that is totally true, but it's just not graceful or gracious, and so am I giving people songs to sing through the storms of their life, and through the victories of their life? People really run to God whenever they're hurting or they're struggling or they're whatever. But how do you give people words to sing whenever God's just pouring out their blessing? We want to be thankful for that. What are songs of gratitude? What are songs of, things like that? So what's the story you're telling with the song? And then I would say, is it singable, memorable, right? So I grew up singing hymns, and
me too.
I would say that the story that hymns tell, the language, the art, the poetry, that's all amazing. But the rhyme, the meter, all of that, it's so catchy and so, for the most part. I mean, if you as hymnals, you're I've never heard this song, and there's a good reason why. But the solid rock, on Christ the solid rock I stand on. A lot of these were like bar songs, right, that were adapted.
It's true.
Yeah.
For the sake of the fact that they're so dadgum memorable, right?
Right.
So how do I write a song that I can sing and almost immediately the people in the congregation can get it, and next week haven't completely forgotten, you know?
Mm-hmm.
What are they singing whenever they leave? Because our worship songs are really portable theology. They're sermons that people take with them.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that connects the heart to the head.
Yes.
And so, you know, how is my music doing that? Is my music doing that? And if it's failing to do that, I'm not saying you necessarily need to scrap it, but, you know, maybe just evaluate.
Cool. That's great. And I love your heart, you know, combining that heart of a worship leader and a pastor with the heart of an artist. I think that's a gorgeous thing.
Yeah.
Now, you also have a pretty big family, and
A little bit.
and you're a strong supporter of adoption. So
Sure.
Tell us a little bit about your adoption journey. How did that all happen, and what are you guys doing with it?
Well, you know, and my wife and I met in high school. I was a senior, she was a sophomore. We were high school sweethearts. Our first date was my prom.
Aww.
And we dated for 2 years, and just the voids in my heart, the voids in her heart, we really became fairly codependent and started sleeping together before we were married, and got pregnant with our oldest daughter, Reese.
Oh, wow.
And so we got married. I had just turned 20, and Amanda was about to turn 18. She was 17 still when we got married. So we started out marriage with a baby, right? 2 years later, we had Kira, our second kiddo, and I was honestly pretty good. Like I was like, you know what? Like we grew up very poor, and I just was like, I want to provide a life for my kids that, you know, I want to be able to be present. I want to be there. I want them to have the things that they want, and, you know, stuff like that. So I was pretty good with 2 kids, and then at church, Amanda and I had always sort of, before even meeting, had our own individual journeys of wondering, will I adopt someday? You know, based on various circumstances and experiences and things like that, and even sermons that we'd heard. And the Lord used this one sermon in particular. A guy came to our church and started talking about the Jeremiah 29 passage where he says, do not decrease but increase, and how the family unit is really God's design for discipleship. And I was just really convicted, like, because I feel like the Lord was really opening my heart to the orphan crisis in the world around the same time. 165 million orphans in the world, fatherless in the world. And so we really started praying about that, and went to a concert, and it was a Stephen Curtis Chapman concert. Actually, he started the whole ministry called Show Hannah's Hope, which is now Show Hope. And he was talking about his own adoption journey. And we were like, man, like, I think this is supposed to be what we do. And so took us a little bit to kind of get to the right spot, but we wanted to adopt. We already had two beautiful biological girls, so we were like, we want to adopt, you know, the children that might not be adopted otherwise. So a sibling group, older. We weren't yet open to special needs, but you know, that was kind of it. So you know, we said, God, whatever, and we were actually like approved for 5 kids if that's what the Lord opened up for us.
Wow.
But we found this sibling group, our sons from Ethiopia. I kept calling all these different adoption agencies and ask, and you know, I was like, we really would like to adopt from Kazakhstan, and you know, that's kind of what we were thinking. And they were like, well, have you considered Ethiopia? And I was like, don't tell me where to adopt from. And I like, call the next agency or whatever, and they would say the same thing. Have you considered Ethiopia? We're like, okay, fine, we'll look into Ethiopia. So we looked into Ethiopia. We got on this mailing list, and like 3 weeks in a row, there was this like left-hand column of waiting children, and Jude and Liam were in that column. And so Amanda and I really prayed together about it, and felt very strongly and led that was it. And so we didn't even have our home study done, nothing like that. And we emailed our agency and asked hey, can we adopt these 2 boys? We don't have anything. And they're like, yeah, let's go for it. And so they sent us over and we accepted and so we were like, okay, where's the closest like expedited home study thing? And so we did that over a weekend. We were able to knock it out. We had to drive 6 hours to Kansas City to get it done. We were living in St. Louis, and so we did. And within the year, we went to go and adopt our sons and brought them home. And we were, I mean, it was a journey for sure. I mean, adoption is not for the weak-hearted, I think, in many cases. Adoption begins with loss, right? These boys had a big loss, and they were living in an orphanage. And so that comes with, so we were loving them and enjoying being their parents. And then Amanda was like, hey, I think we need to have another kid. Am I crazy? And I'm like, no, babe, like, you're a great mom. Let's go for it. And so in 2012, we were trying to have another baby and had 2 miscarriages. It was a really hard year. One was on my birthday, one was on Christmas. And so it was a really hard year. And we found out that Amanda had this genetic mutation called MTHFR, where she doesn't produce, or she doesn't assimilate, or whatever it's called, B12 in her body. So the babies were starving, and that was what was causing the miscarriages. And so we went to this holistic doctor, and she was like, hey, I think this is what you have. Let's get a blood test to make sure. Also, you're probably pregnant, so you need to check this out. And sure enough, we went back. She was like, yes, you do have it, MTHFR, and yes, you're pregnant. So that's Ethan, our little boy Ethan. He's 6 now, and he's amazing. He's just beyond incredible. I can't even contain.
See it on your face.
That little boy.
Oh, wow.
And so then, we moved back to Texas, and Amanda's like, hey, I think we're supposed to adopt again. And I'm like, okay, let's go, babe. Let's go. We got room for one more in our Suburban. We can get this thing done. We know God's heart is for adoption. Let's go.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a question. I didn't even have to pray about it at all. We're like, let's go. We saw her on this website called Rainbow Kids, and we were both like, that is our daughter. Let's go. And she was 12.
She was 12?
Yeah. Well, she was going to turn 12.
Okay.
She actually turned 12 on the day we adopted her.
Wow.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And so we started that process, and this is where it got fun, because Amanda was like, after we're approved, we're rolling down the pike, getting ready to adopt Penelope, and Amanda's like, hey, I think we're supposed to adopt 2. And I was like, I don't hear the Lord saying that. So I said, okay, let me pray about it. That's a lot. I feel like that's a lot.
Yeah.
But I'll pray about it. Prayed for a few weeks. Didn't feel any specific prompting from the Lord that that's what we're supposed to do. And so I just said, okay, I'm not hearing from God in my soul necessarily. So what do I know is true? I know God is the father of the fatherless. I know He puts orphans in homes. I know He despises fatherlessness and wants families. That's His design, is the family, and that He loves adoption. And this is true religion, that you care for the orphans. And so let's just do this. We'll ask our agency if we can adopt. They're probably going to say no, because that's crazy. If they say yes, China has to say yes, and they don't like to concur in adoptions. So there's 2 pretty big hurdles here that if God really wants us to do this, He's going to get us over. So we asked our agency, and they were like, okay, here's the paperwork mountain that you need to fill out to make sure that you're qualified for this, because we think you're crazy. So here's a psych evaluation, and
That's great to hear.
Right.
we did that, and they're like, okay, you're supposed to do this. Let's go. So I was like, okay. So they submit to China, and they're like, this will probably take about 2 months, something like that. And within a couple of days, China had already said, yeah, let's do it.
Oh my goodness.
So Penelope had a cleft lip and palate, and I was pretty okay with, like, I knew the work that was going to be involved in that and all that. We felt pretty. Lincoln has cerebral palsy, so that's a totally different animal.
Yeah.
He had a brain disease called moya moya, where the capillaries in his brain were shrunken and shriveled and weren't producing brain. So he had, I don't know how many strokes, but a lot of strokes by the time we adopted him, to where when you looked at the brain scan, the right side of his brain that affects the left side of his body was almost non-existent. It was just a sack of water, of fluid in the brain. And so we knew, that brain, elasticity and new neural pathways and all that can be formed, especially at his age. He's going to take a lot of physical therapy, occupational therapy, all that. We didn't know about the moya moya, and so he was having seizures like crazy when we brought him home. And we got all these tests done on him and found out about that. So he had bilateral brain surgery last year. Not last year, October of a little over a year and a half ago.
Yeah, 2018.
And the results were miraculous. I mean, he has like 93% blood flow to his brain now.
Really?
Whereas before it was like less than 20. And he's been doing occupational physical therapy every week, multiple days a week, and he's walking on his own now.
Really?
That's fantastic.
We didn't know. Like, he still can't talk. He's almost 5.
Okay.
And he just kind of,
Yeah.
So his brain developmentally is still very much, we're kind of saying now, like, oh, he's finally entering into the terrible twos. So that's both awesome and horrible at the same time. But he's a miracle, and Amanda has been just his biggest champion. He's been taking him to therapy.
That's gonna make me cry here.
Right.
Seriously. I'm not crying. You're crying.
So that's sort of the story of our adoption journey. We may be done, we may not be done. I don't know. We're talking about it.
Right.
Maybe not right now. Like, Lincoln still has a lot to go. But we'll see like how he progresses, and I think right now it would probably be more than we could handle. And I think most agencies and countries would see it that way too. But you never know.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Our yes is on the table whenever the Lord asks something. So.
Yeah.
Your heart, seriously, Stephen. I am just. God, I can't talk. I can't talk.
Oh
That's
man.
beautiful.
Well, after such a remarkable story, and so deep and so gut wrenching, we're now going to move into our lightning round that we call.
That's a change.
5 questions.
I'm into that.
Which of course it's not. Oh, thank you. No. Thank you, Alexa. Alexa's going nuts. My computer's going nuts. Everything's going nuts. Okay.
She's just going to continue talking in the background.
I told her not to, but okay. All right, so let's do the questions. I don't know what's going on with my system here either. Okay. First of all, I'm sure that the answer to this question is not a lot because you're pretty busy, but what are you binge watching right now?
This isn't necessarily like I'm so late to the game on The Office, but like I started watching The Office last year. Of course, there's so many episodes of it when you're starting from season 1, but I really love it's so funny, and there's just there's so much dry humor, but it's so uncomfortable, and you're just like, how did they get away with this? So many of the episodes, you're like, this wouldn't fly today on TV. There's no way, So yeah, that's kind of, and then Amanda and I, like a bunch of our subscribers from our YouTube channel were like recommending the show Outlander.
Oh, I've heard of that.
I've heard it's good.
And like Braveheart's my favorite movie of all time, so like it's kind of got Braveheart vibes to it, and but it's the 1700s instead of the 1500s. But it's great. It's really good. That's kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
We just finished watching. Have you seen Speechless?
No.
It's you just reminded me of it with your story, but it's the story of this family, and this.
It's a comedy.
It's a comedy. Yeah, it's a 30-minute sitcom.
Okay.
And the mother, it's a family. It's 2 boys and a daughter, and a mom and a dad. But the oldest son has cerebral palsy, and can't speak. That's the title of the show, Speechless and stuff. But it's really kind of about the mom and kind of her desire,
advocating for the child constantly.
Yeah.
It's like she won't accept that's not possible for him. And so whether dealing with the school or other people, and if somebody says, well, no, he won't be able to do that, and she's very aggressive,
yes,
in that, and very passionate about her son, and does everything possible. Everything revolves.
Check that out. That sounds amazing.
You might want to check that out.
It's a good little show.
What is it? Is it on
Hulu?
Hulu?
It might be on Netflix too, but yeah, we watched it on Hulu. So
Yeah.
Cool. I'll check into it. That's awesome.
Yeah. All right. If you could have any other job than the one you have right now, what would it be?
I would be a travel photographer and journalist. So landscape photography. Really, what I'd like to do is, and I probably, will in some capacity. I kind of already do that with our YouTube channel. We're telling that story through our family, and that's my primary job right now is YouTube. So it really does allow us to travel more than we have ever been able to before. We homeschool our kids, so there's a lot of freedom there. But I would love to be able to go to everywhere in the world. Yes. That's amazing. Yeah. And, have like a week where I can feature like the landscape of a place on day 1, the food on day 2, the people on day 3, whatever. And then just have this sort of, like relationship with their, chamber of commerce or something like that to like make it work financially. But I think there's something there, and I've been exploring it a little bit to try to like figure out how to make it work. But it might not be for this season of life because we do have special needs, and it does sort of keep us from being able to do traveling full time right now. But I would see that probably being something in the future for us.
I love it.
Nice.
I need to remember to send you. I found this group of people called Wired Creatives, and that's kind of what they do. Like they.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I'll send you the information.
Oh, right on. That's awesome. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so what is and of course you've got a lot of kids and a lot of family, but so it might be tough sometimes. But what is your favorite to-go order?
My favorite is, Wingstop. I would say I can kind of get Wingstop almost anywhere. When I was traveling with the band, I'm taking 2020 off from traveling this year.
So are we, but it was unintentional.
Yeah, that's funny that I didn't plan for this.
Funny
I didn't take events for this year,
funny.
And then all this, and I'm like, well, that's probably a good thing because they've all been canceled. They literally have all been canceled. Everything that I had scheduled, but just trying to focus on my family for the year. So, before when I was traveling, it was like every night. It's like, all right, guys, let's go out for wings. Wings are my favorite food.
Nice.
So you get 5 original buffalo and 5 lemon pepper at Wingstop. That's probably my favorite to go. And then, right behind that, like barely right behind that, is just really great pizza.
Good pizza.
I grew up on Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
So like their thick crust. I can't have bread though, but if I'm having a cheat meal, I would say another chain that you can get a lot of places is Jets.
Yes, so good.
Style. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So like if I'm gonna get like a to-go order, not just like a sit down, Jets is awesome. Here in San Antonio, you can get it. If I was in St. Louis, it would totally be Dewey's Pizza. That's the best pizza on earth.
Oh yeah.
So those would be my 2 kind of top to-go places. We love Indian food. If we're talking our family, we most often order out or order to our house is we'll get Chinese food or Indian food.
Yep.
I like it.
Get some dim sum. There's a place that does dim sum, and
Yes.
get that home, and then we'll do or we'll do Indian food.
Oh, you're making me hungry right now.
Yep.
So is Dewey's St. Louis style pizza, or is it just
No.
The St. Louis style pizza is not pizza. It's horrible. It's like doesn't belong in the spectrum of pizza.
If our friend Dan is listening, I apologize.
You will get mad.
It's a cracker
and there will be
with plastic on it. That's what St. Louis style is. It's a cracker with plastic on it.
Oh, wow.
Oh, awesome.
Everyone is saying, like, "Oh, you got to try emos." I'm like, I tried
Yeah,
it.
that's
Everyone
what it
tried
is.
it. Good.
Yeah. Our friend is very passionate about his emo.
Dewey's is more like New York style.
Okay.
It's sort of like a cross between New York and is it Neapolitan pizza?
Oh yeah, like
Okay.
That more fluffy,
Yeah.
chewy crust.
nice.
Mhm.
It's so good, guys. The DeWitts who own the Cardinals own it.
Oh, okay.
It's just unreal. That's why it's called Dewey's DeWitt.
Makes sense.
Got it.
I'll check it out.
It's so good.
And hi, April. I'm glad you're joining us live today. I just saw her pop in. That's great. So what are you reading right now?
I actually just finished. It's a book called Get Your Life Back by John Eldridge.
Okay.
And man, so life-giving. It's just about resetting, almost rediscovering humanity. That our soul is not equipped to keep up with the ragtag pace that social media and the internet and everything has created. And so, it's almost like a spiritual disciplines book, but more, I would say, more practical.
Okay.
Because you've all read the spiritual disciplines books, and it's like pray, spend time in silence, stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is more like, here's the reason behind it. I don't know. It was just very recentering to read. It talks about having a 1-minute pause. If you can't take 1 minute every day, a few times a day, to just stop what you're doing,
right,
and just say, Lord, I give you everything. I give you everyone. Start naming it off. Like, what do you show? I give you my finances right now. I give you my marriage right now. I give you the fight that I'm literally in the middle of with my wife. When my alarm goes off, to take a 1-minute pause. That'll do something for your marriage. We've literally we're in the middle of an argument, and my alarm goes off, and it's I have an alarm, and it's Andrew Peterson, Is He Worthy, is the song that my alarm is. Do you feel the world is broken? We do, and that's what, and so you're like in the middle of an argument, and then you're like, okay, God, we give you this. It's just a great reminder in every moment.
That's fantastic.
So I would recommend that book is. I mean, I couldn't recommend it more.
Yeah.
But I would recommend doing a 1-minute pause a few times a day.
Yeah.
Set an alarm. I have my alarm go off at 10, 2, and 6.
Nice.
Just to stop and reflect and pray and give it. And a lot of times that doesn't end after a minute. Like you get caught up in worship, and it just reorients everything. So that's a great book. That's what I just finished, and I have several others that I'm reading. A biography on Theodore Roosevelt. It's this big, so it's taking me like forever to finish it. But that dude's awesome. He's a stud.
That's fantastic. All right, final question. They decide to make a movie of your life. Who plays you?
Well, if Chris Farley were still alive,
Oh, come on.
he's a man. Actually, I just did a video on YouTube about this, and I said Chris Farley, but since he's not available, Brad Pitt would have to do.
He'll have to do.
I don't look like Brad Pitt either. So
You and Fauci, right?
I think most, like, in all seriousness, I don't know, maybe Josh Peck, from Drinking Josh.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's like a show my kids watched, but like as the dad, like I get to watch it too, and I was always like, he is so me.
Oh, that is awesome.
Fantastic.
All right,
Yeah.
so thank you for joining us today. I've got on here for people to check you out, Stephen Miller Music, or is that better place to find out more about you?
Yeah, I mean, you can always check out our YouTube channel is Grace for the Millers.
Grace for the Millers. All right, we'll
Okay.
put
That's
a link
our
to
family channel. I have a personal channel as well, but you can go Instagram at Stephen Miller. That's with a PH.
Yep.
Or Twitter at Stephen Miller, also with a PH. I mean, pretty much any of that. We're good. It's good.
Beautiful.
Perfect.
Well, Stephen, thank you so much for your time today. This has been an absolute blast. We love talking with you.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Great.
Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
All right. So that was Stephen, and I told you guys would love him. He's fantastic.
Amazing.
And tomorrow we've got Toddy Bear coming on.
Fantastic.
He's been on here a few times through the chat, and so we've had a chance to chat with him. But he'll be on tomorrow live talking about concerts and promotions and all that kind of fun stuff that he does.
Awesome.
Yeah. So thank you guys for hanging out with us.
Yeah.
And we will see you tomorrow.
Have a great day, everyone.
On Coffee Chat.
Bye.